You stand up from the couch. And your dog stands up too. You walk into the kitchen. And suddenly you hear paws behind you. You head to the bathroom, close the door, and your dog looks personally offended that this apparently wasn't a group activity. If this sounds familiar, you've probably wondered, why does my dog follow me everywhere? The obvious answer is, because my dog loves me. And yes, affection and attachment can absolutely be part of it. But dogs follow people for many different reasons. Sometimes it's about feeling safe. Sometimes it's habit. Sometimes you've accidentally trained your dog to follow you without realizing it. And in some cases, a sudden increase in clingy behavior can be something worth paying closer attention to. So let's look at what your dog may actually be telling you when they become your four-legged shadow. Your dog may see you as a source of safety. Dogs are social animals, and many form strong attachment relationships with the humans they live with. For some dogs, being close to you simply feels safe and familiar. You're part of their daily routine. They recognize your voice, your movements, your habits, and even the rhythm of your day. So when you leave one room, your dog may think, well, my safe person is going somewhere. I guess I'm going too. Healthy attachment doesn't necessarily mean your dog has to be touching you every second. A dog might follow you into the bedroom, realize nothing exciting is happening, lie down by the door, and fall asleep. That's very different from a dog who appears unable to relax unless they are constantly beside you. Choosing to stay near you can be one sign that your dog feels comfortable around you. But following alone doesn't prove that your dog has an unusually deep bond. Some very secure dogs are naturally independent. Others prefer to stay within 5 feet of their person almost all day. Both can have perfectly healthy relationships with their owners. Following you has been rewarded. Here's another major reason, and humans are often responsible for this one. Dogs are excellent at learning what works. Imagine your dog follows you into the kitchen. You look down and say, "Oh, hi buddy." Maybe you give them a piece of dog-safe food. Later, they follow you to the couch and get invited up for cuddles. They follow you toward the front door. And suddenly it's time for a walk. From your dog's perspective, following you is becoming a very successful strategy. Stay near human, good things happen. And the rewards don't always have to be food. Attention can be rewarding. Petting can be rewarding. Play can be rewarding. Going outside can be rewarding. Even talking to your dog every time they follow you may reinforce the behavior if your dog enjoys that interaction. This doesn't mean you did anything wrong. You may simply have created a predictable pattern. It also explains why some dogs can be sound asleep until their owner walks toward the kitchen. Apparently, the possibility of cheese is stronger than sleep. Your dog wants to know what happens next. Dogs are incredibly good at noticing routines. They may not understand your calendar, but they understand patterns. You put on certain shoes, and your dog starts getting excited because those are the walking shoes. You pick up your keys, and your dog watches carefully because keys often mean someone is leaving. You open one specific cabinet, and somehow your dog knows that's where the treats live. You walk toward the back door, and they immediately assume this involves them. Following behavior can therefore be a combination of curiosity, anticipation, and pattern recognition. Your dog doesn't necessarily know what you're doing. They just know that human movement sometimes leads to interesting events. And from their perspective, missing one trip into the kitchen could mean missing the most important event of the entire afternoon. Dogs also become very familiar with our tiny behavioral cues. You may think you casually stood up from your desk. Your dog may have noticed that you stretched first, looked toward the door, and put your phone in your pocket, the exact sequence that often happens before a walk. They're watching us more closely than we sometimes realize. Some dogs are naturally more people-oriented, but this next reason is easy to miss. Dogs are individuals. Genetics, breed history, temperament, early social experiences, training, and previous life experiences can all influence how much a dog wants to stay near people. Some types of dogs were historically selected to work very closely with human handlers. Herding dogs, retrievers, and certain companion breeds, for example, may often show strong interest in what their humans are doing. But breed is only part of the picture. You can have two dogs of the same breed living in the same home, and one follows you into every room while the other barely opens an eye when you leave the couch. Individual personality matters enormously. You may also hear people describe a very people-oriented dog as a Velcro dog. It's a funny and sometimes very accurate nickname for a dog who seems permanently attached to their person. But Velcro dog is not a medical diagnosis. It simply describes a dog that tends to stay especially close to people. And being a Velcro dog does not automatically mean there is a behavioral problem. The important question is whether the dog can still feel comfortable when some distance exists between you. Your dog may simply be bored. Sometimes your dog follows you because, frankly, you are the most interesting thing happening. Consider your dog's day from their perspective. If they've already investigated the living room, looked out the window, checked the food bowl 3 times, and nothing else is happening, following you around may become entertainment. This can be especially noticeable in dogs who aren't getting enough opportunities for appropriate physical activity, mental stimulation, exploration, or social interaction. And enrichment doesn't need to mean buying a house full of expensive dog toys. A relaxed sniff walk can be extremely engaging. You can practice a few minutes of simple training. Hide pieces of your dog's regular food around a safe room and encourage them to search. Use food puzzles. Play hide and seek. Offer an appropriate chew. Rotate toys instead of leaving every toy available all the time. Even allowing your dog enough time to sniff and explore during walks can add variety to the day. Of course, every dog has different needs. A young, energetic working dog may need very different activities from an older dog with limited mobility. Age, health, temperament, breed tendencies, and individual preferences all matter. The goal isn't to exhaust your dog. It's to make sure following you isn't the only interesting activity available. You may be the important person. Have you ever noticed that your dog follows one family member more than everyone else? That can create some interesting household debates. Clearly, the dog loves me more. Maybe. But there may be another explanation. Dogs often learn that different people predict different things. One person fills the food bowl. Another person does the morning walk. Someone else plays fetch. And maybe one particular person always responds when the dog walks over asking for attention. Over time, that person can become especially important in the dog's daily routine. Your dog may follow the person who is most predictable, most interactive, or most closely connected to activities they value. That doesn't necessarily mean your dog loves everyone else less. Dogs can have different relationships with different members of the same household. Maybe dad is the walking person, mom is the comfort person, and the teenager is apparently the person most likely to accidentally drop food. Every relationship has its advantages. Age or physical changes can increase following, and this is where following behavior can sometimes mean something different. Some dogs become more dependent on familiar people as they get older. Changes in vision, hearing, mobility, confidence, or cognitive function may make an older dog more likely to stay near someone familiar. Imagine navigating your home when you can't see or hear quite as well as you once did. Staying close to a trusted person may simply make the environment feel easier to manage. But age isn't the only reason behavior can change. A dog who suddenly becomes much more clingy than usual may occasionally be responding to discomfort, illness, fear, or another physical or behavioral change. The key word here is suddenly. If your dog has followed you around for 8 years and continues doing exactly that, it may simply be normal for that dog. But if an independent dog unexpectedly starts following you constantly, seems restless, behaves unusually, or shows physical symptoms, it deserves more attention. That doesn't mean you should immediately assume something is wrong. It means changes from your dog's normal behavior can provide useful information. If the change is significant, persistent, unexplained, or accompanied by physical symptoms, talking with your veterinarian is a sensible next step. Following you does not automatically mean separation anxiety. Here's the important distinction. A dog following you everywhere does not automatically mean your dog has separation anxiety. A normally attached dog may follow you around the house, prefer sleeping nearby, ask for attention, and watch where you go. But when you leave, that dog may settle down, sleep, play with a toy, or otherwise remain relatively calm. Separation-related distress looks different. Signs that may deserve attention include intense distress when you begin preparing to leave, persistent barking or howling after departure, repeated pacing, heavy panting when it isn't hot and the dog hasn't been exercising, excessive drooling, indoor elimination in a normally house-trained dog, destructive behavior connected with attempts to escape, or an inability to settle. Some dogs may appear panicked rather than simply disappointed that you left, but no single item on that list confirms a diagnosis. Context matters. A dog might bark because someone walked past the window. Destruction can happen because of boredom. Indoor accidents can have medical causes. That's why separation-related problems should be evaluated based on the overall pattern rather than one isolated behavior. If your dog consistently shows genuine distress around being left alone, speak with your veterinarian or a qualified behavior professional. Simply labeling the dog clingy doesn't tell you what's actually happening. Should you stop your dog from following you? Usually, if your dog is relaxed and the behavior isn't interfering with everyday life, following you isn't something that needs to be fixed. Your dog likes being around you. That can be perfectly normal. At the same time, it's useful for dogs to learn that relaxing independently is safe too. You might reward your dog for calmly resting on a bed or mat while you move around the room. Give them enjoyable activities that don't require constant interaction with you. Encourage short, comfortable periods of independent relaxation. Provide appropriate exercise, sniffing, play, training, and mental enrichment. And keep normal departures and arrivals relatively calm rather than turning every exit into a major emotional event. What you generally don't want to do is punish your dog for following you. Following isn't disobedience. And suddenly forcing a very dependent dog into isolation may increase stress rather than teaching independence. If your dog actually panics when separated, the solution is not simply to ignore them until they get over it. That situation deserves an individualized plan from an appropriate professional. How to read your own dog. Instead of asking only, "Why does my dog follow me?" Look at the complete picture. What does your dog's body language look like? Are they relaxed while following you? Can they lie down and sleep without constantly watching your every movement? Can they entertain themselves sometimes? Does the following suddenly become much stronger around dinner time? Does your dog magically appear the moment you touch the leash? Has this behavior always been part of their personality? Or is it new? And most importantly, what happens when you actually leave? A relaxed dog following you from the living room to the kitchen tells you something very different from a dog who becomes extremely distressed the moment you walk toward the front door. Context matters more than one isolated behavior. We don't need to assign a complicated human emotion to everything our dogs do. We just need to pay attention to patterns. Final thoughts. So the next time you walk from the bedroom to the kitchen, down the hallway, and eventually into the bathroom with your dog following every step, remember that there probably isn't one simple explanation. Yes, affection and attachment may absolutely be part of it, but your dog may also see you as a source of safety. They may have learned that following you leads to rewards. They may be curious about what happens next. They may naturally have a people-oriented personality. They might be bored. You might be the person who controls all the important resources. Or, especially if the behavior suddenly changes, something else may be affecting how secure or comfortable they feel. The best clue isn't simply whether your dog follows you. It's how relaxed they are while doing it and how they cope when you're not there. Does your dog follow you everywhere? Or is your dog the independent type? Tell us in the comments. And if you enjoy understanding the little behaviors that make dogs so interesting, like the video and subscribe for more practical dog behavior content.